And these appear also in the Vedas. So once there is something which we know from the Vedic period, obviously our curiosity increases. And there may be some who may be wondering, why should we be asking such a question? What is Iriṇa? Is it in Vedas? Or if it is in the Vedas, what is Vedic Iriṇa? What is the meaning of it? Why don't you simply refer to a dictionary and take its meaning? These are some of the questions which will come up. Now, my answer to that is only this. Many of us are interested in ancient history and geography. Large number of us are curious about what the Sanskrit texts say. Because the Sanskrit texts are ancient, are they telling something about our own country? And then we know that there are long memories hidden in the society. Even to this day, there are several rituals or observations which can be traced back to very ancient times. And when we ask such questions, a new thing comes up. As I see, we may be from Bangalore, Bombay, Calcutta, Nagpur, Delhi, Australia, Switzerland. We belong to a particular Indic culture and society, and we get a feeling of belongingness if we can go to the most ancient evidences that we are having, or our more ancient or the most ancient Vedic, something like a heritage which we have. And a new question is cropping up from the last few decades. That is about the Vedic people and their relationship with what are called the Harappans or the Indus Valley civilization. So the new question which crops up, which has cropped up of late, is the relation between the Vedic people and the Harappans. You will see that they were living in the same region, and hence this question is very valid. Then, of late, there has been a great interest in our history. In India, we all want to know what is our history, independent of what has been written in English textbooks and in colonial textbooks. And we see that there are two kinds of histories. One is the datable history. The other one is the cultural history. Datable history, we may be able to put some time, like Akbar lived in some century, or maybe Ashoka, Alexander came to India in 325 BC, like that. But cultural history sometimes cannot be dated properly, but it is nevertheless there. So we know that like a flow, it has been there. And hence, these questions become important, and that is why we have to study the Vedic texts. And last but not the least, our present is a result of the past. It is a sum total of all the good and bad things, what has happened in this country for the last 5,000 years or more. And of course, this can be said about any other country also, but I am talking about my country, which roughly, when we say my country or our country, better to have some physical picture. We all have our own physical pictures. Nevertheless, I am showing something because I am going to restrict my attention to one particular part, which is a neglected part, generally neglected. You see, this is a map of India from the 18th century. And hence, it doesn't have any political implications. So you excuse me, you need not read anything more than what is being shown here. The region that I am going to talk about is here. This is the region I am talking about. And what you see here is, even in the 18th century, Kachh region is shown as islands, as a comprising of 6 or 7 islands. Kachh itself was an island, and there are several other islands also. Now, what is this Kachh? You would have heard of Raṇ-of Kachh. Kachh, of course, is a district, a landform, a land which is still there. Bhuj is the capital. Many of us have gone there. But the Raṇ-of Kachh, Kachh adjoins this Raṇ-of Kachh, and it looks like this. Just a sheet of not water, it's just a flat land, white in color, as though a white sheet has been kept on ground. And I'm going to talk about this actually. Eventually, whatever I am presenting is connected with this. This region I am showing once again in a slightly different way. And you would see that this was the more or less the central point of the Indus Valley civilization, or what is nowadays called the Indus Sarasvati civilization. So you can see that roughly what I am going to talk has a bearing on a very ancient period. And we can have a discussion on it, of course, at a later time. I'm showing slightly a better figure here before I go to actually my Vedic Iriṇa and questions of that. You would see that this is Kachh. And this is the Raṇ-of Kachh. It's all now a marshy land or salt land. During monsoon, there is going to be water. Otherwise, it's all dry, marshy. And even Kachh, what I'm showing here, is really an island. But nowadays, of course, there is a long bridge here, so with which you can go. This is called the Little Raṇ-of Kachh, and this is called the Great Raṇ-of Kachh. And there are some boats which are shown here. There is a name called Dholavira here. We will come to that at a later time, not right now. Why the boats are there, were they navigable, or what does Rgveda has to say anything on that? Those questions we will consider later. But you please have this in the background so that whatever I am talking, it is better in your mind. You make a physical correlation with your own concept of Kachh or India, Raṇ-of Kachh or Gujarat or Northwest India or Rajasthan or even Delhi or Mehsana, like that. If you, the maps I showed were modern maps. Is that an ancient map, one may ask? And what is this Iriṇa, and why should I be talking about Iriṇa and Raṇ-of Kachh? There is a book called Rigvedic Geography by a famous Indologist by name M.L. Bhargav. And he has considered, I'm taking this graph from him, but actually this figure is available on the archives available about Alexander's campaign in Sindh. You know that Alexander came to India sometime in the 3rd century BC, and his courtiers have left some records, and his people who came later also have left some records. And based on the record, of course, Alexander didn't come to Iriṇa or this portion, but this is the Sindh portion. He came to Sindh. Now, if you come down here, you see a word called Iriṇon. Are you able to see this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, you can. Okay. And below that is written Irina, I-R-I-N-A. Also Rin, and a few other things. The important thing that we have to see is, in those time, that is about 2,300 or 400 years back, Kachh had a connection with a country called Audumbara. Now, Audumbara is a Sanskrit word. In Greek, it is called Odambre. And Audumbara is written, I think, M.L. Bhargav has written the corresponding Sanskrit word. This was in Audumbara Desha. That word, of course, as a Desha is now forgotten. New names have come in. And in the 1st century BC, there is a mariner's account called the Periplus of the Erythraean Sea. This is again in Greek, translated into English in the 19th century. I'll just read 1 or 2 sentences here. After the river Sinthos, that is Sindhu, is passed, we reach another gulf. This Sindhu is up to here. You can see almost up to here, which cannot be easily seen because it is bent. It has two divisions, the great and the little. There is a great Raṇ-of Kachh and the little Raṇ-of Kachh, both violent and continuous eddies extending far out from the shore. Eddies are going to be like, whirlpools and sand dunes and quicksands, so that before the land is inside, ships are grounded and caught with the eddies and lost. Over this gulf hangs a promontory, which curving from Iriṇa, that is from here, first to the east, it goes to the east, then to the south, and finally to the west, encompass a gulf called Barake, in the bosom of which lies 7 islands. This whole thing he is calling Barake. And where is Barake? What is Barake? Barake has been taken by many people as Dwarake or Dwaraka. But if he takes his account, the present day Dwaraka, which is somewhere here, doesn't match. Or if it is something else, then we don't know what is Barake. This is the situation. This is what historically we know. But of course, people have identified Irina with Raṇ-of Kachh, famous people like Bisht, who excavated Dholavira, and also V.S. Agarwal, who has written on Panini's time. India is known to Panini in his book. He identifies Irina with Raṇ-of Kachh. Even though Irina is not listed in any of the Paninian textbooks, in text, Panini refers to Agni and Kacha. Bhujagni, Kandagni are the two examples given. For Kacha, also there are other names. Bhrigu Kacha is given. Now, Bhujagni is actually the name for Bhuj. Nowadays, what is called Bhuj. Kandagni is actually Kandala. And Irina is slightly north of these two places. So it's a very ancient country. So that much is quite clear. Generally, people call this a marsh, a salt marsh. It's not a very correct explanation. But large number of people, historians, archaeologists, and others are very much interested in it. And, the most important thing nowadays is, of course, the city called Dholavira, which is there in that region, is, of course, it's excavated by the Archaeological Survey of India, but it is worth visiting because it tells us awful lot of things about our ancient history and culture. Maybe in a day or two, you can understand so much if you go there. Now, another thing is, the River Sarasvati flowed in the same geographical region. And hence we know that Sarasvati is connected with the Vedic culture so much. And the Sarasvat Brahmins, the Gaur Sarasvats, all claim that they originated in the Sarasvati banks. Whatever may be the reason, or whether true or false, is a different matter. But there is such a strong connection with River Sarasvati. And it has gone to such an extent, that near Prayagraj, we are supposed to have a Triveni Sangam where Sarasvati is supposed to be Guptagamini. Of course, Sarasvati is even now Guptagamini. Okay, let's not worry about that. One more thing that we have to understand when we talk of ancient Sanskrit and Vedic literature, is a country or a region called Brahmavarta. Of course, Manu, Smriti and others discuss it. Brahmavarta is a region between the two rivers, Sarasvati and Dṛṣadvatī. Now, it is very difficult to locate both these rivers nowadays, but the texts help us to a large extent. Now, my methodology is not going to be a popular talk. Let me say that from the beginning. I'm going to review some of the texts. I will not bother you with any Sanskrit grammar. You need not be worried about it. And those who are very much interested in Sanskrit grammar have to study it themselves or have to discuss with me separately later on, not right now. I will briefly review the Vedic text, but I may show some of the original text to bring out the difficulties we are having in understanding this. And also another reason, if you read the translation, you will be easily misled. So you have to read the original. If at all, you have to understand your culture, my culture, our culture as insiders, not as somebody who has read the textbook, seen the country and writing it, sitting in the United States or in Germany or Italy. I have nothing against Western Indologists, but I have to make this very clear. This is an internal picture because we have carried all this memory with us up to this day, and we have to prick our brain and see whether something comes out of it. Now, there is one extra information which helps us, but that I will not be able to come to today. That is Ptolemy's Indica. It's a geography of the ancient world written by Ptolemy in 2nd century AD. There are some geographical information which helps in understanding some of the ancient texts, what I am discussing. Now, in the Rgvedic text, Rgveda, as you know, is the most ancient world literature that we are having, preserved in this country orally for nearly maybe 5,000, 6,000 years, or whatever may be the length, and preserved almost exactly, maybe 99.99% confidence one can say that it is preserved exactly from that period, and all over India it is recited in the same way. That is another issue, extremely important and interesting, but I will not take you to that. But the text is available for anyone to read and understand. The word Irina occurs in this text 6 times. I will go quickly through the 6 occurrences and tell you what they mean and then go further. So in the first book called the Mandala, in the first Mandala, is a sukta by Agastya. Now please note, the rishis to whom the mantras are ascribed, they are important. They are important in several ways. They might have been the people who observed something. They might have the people, they are called the mantra drashtara, so they might have seen it and through inspiration maybe made these mantras. Or they may belong to a particular family of these rishis. At a later date, they might have written or seen the mantras. Written is not a right word, but because of poor English, that word keeps on coming. But bear in mind, nothing was written. This was all oral. This was seen, heard, that is Shruti, and then transmitted in a parampara from Guru to Shishya like that. And only it was written down in script form, maybe somewhere around 100 AD or 200 AD. And then multiple copies were done for several of them, which have come up to the present day. But as far as the Vedas are concerned, the large number of Vedic texts, Vedas I am putting up, there are at least about 250 texts, generally as Vedic texts. Vedas are going to be the 4 Vedas, but they have their ancillary texts, which are going to be 4 into 4 into 4, something like 64 texts. They were also transmitted orally only. And hence, this is a oral tradition, which we are once again analyzing by modern methods. So in the, I was talking about Rgveda. Rgveda has 10 books. Generally, it is said the first book and the last book, the 10th book, or later. We will not go into the dating and all of that. But just understand that there are 10 mandalas in this, or 10 books which make up totally the Rgveda. And the word Irina is found only in certain of them, not in all of them. But there are other relations which are available in the other mandalas. So we will have to consider all of that together for our analysis. First, I will talk only about Irina and then go to the others. I was mentioning in the first mandala, the Sukta 186 attributed to Agastya. I was mentioning about the rishis. Agastya is the rishi. Agastya is also, as you know, a star. So a question comes up, The rishis, did they become the devatas and all of that? And again, there are devatas for the Rigvedic suktas. For example, for this sukta, Vishvedeva are the devatas. Who are the devatas? What is the meaning? All this are important, but we will have to postpone them and take an overall meaning in these 3 days. This sukta is addressed to Savitar, Aryama, Mitra, Varuna, Tvashta, Marut and others. Note the name Tvashta, we will come to him at a later time. Marut also we will come at a later time, but here itself Marut comes in. The mantra goes like Utanayi Maruto Vriddha Senaha, etc. The meaning I have given it in English, roughly this is okay, because Griffith has followed, at least in this case, Sayana, and even though there are questions, even Sayana's description is not physically correct, I would say, or not realistic. Broadly we can take this. Maruts, armed with mighty weapons, rest here on heaven and earth with hearts in concord. As gods whose cars have dappled deeds like torrents, destroyers of the foe, Mitra. So this is something in praise of Marus. They want Marut to be something, the friends of Mitra. Mitra is another devata. They hasten on to happy termination, their orders, when they are made known by their glory. Maruts are made known by their glory. As in a fair bright day, the day is bright, the arrow flieth over all the barren soil. Their missiles sparkle. So the Maruts are said to be very bright, even on a bright day. Their missiles are going all over the barren soil. This barren soil is Irina. Irina is actually a proper name according to me. This has been translated as a barren soil because Sayana takes this to be Ushara. Ushara in Sanskrit is a desert, so he is taking it as a barren soil. But the important thing is of Maruts. They are armed with their mighty weapons, discharging sparkling arrows over a region or place called Iriṇa. This is the what you may call the Tatparya of this mantra. So the question comes up, when you want to understand Iriṇa, we have to know who are Maruts and which are the sparkling arrows they were discharging over Iriṇa. But handling Maruts itself would need 5 to 6 talks. I will not do that, but I will go with Iriṇa further. Now next we do not meet till the 8th book. So in the 8th book, Iriṇa is associated with a watery pool. This is translated as desert's watery pool. I have given the numbers here, 8.4.3. The text is here, Yatha Gauro Apakritam Trishyannetyaverinam, etc. Here it is not referring to Marut or whatever. Iriṇam is the place where animals Gaura come. Who are Gaura, like who are Maruts, we have to understand what is Gaura, who is Gaura, who are Gaura. That is important for our Iriṇa discussion, but I will not do it right now. It's a kind of animal, we will leave it like that. It is Gaura. Sayana takes this to be Gaura Mrigaha. He simply says, in one place he says Mriga Visheshaha, in another place he says Mrigi. So Mriga means deer, also in Sanskrit. So many people have translated this as deer or antelope. And also some people, particularly the German translators, have taken it to be the wild bull. We will see why all these things become important and why the mistakes done in the translation helps us to understand what is the real thing also. Now, again in the 8th mandala, there is a reference to Ashwins. And Ashwins are requested to come to a yaga, to a Soma yaga also. They are requested to do Somapana, like Gaura drink water. Gaura come to Iriṇa to drink water. So that is how it is. And Gaura here is used in Dvivachana. That is 2 Gauras because Ashwins are Dvidevatas. They are two twins. So there are two Gauras who are supposed to come to the pool. But this pool, please see, is a wrong translation. It is Irina. They come to Irina to drink water. And again the same thing here in the next mantra also. Irinam comes, this is already the fourth reference. Now this is a discussion on Gaura. I have already covered this, so I will skip this slide. This is taken to be wild bull in one place, but as antelope in another place by Griffith. And the modern translators, interpreters have also taken Gaura, and in fact it's called the Indian Gaur, as both Gauras is the wild buffalo. Gaura is, even in local languages, the name Gaura is used. What is the nature of this animal? Because the region is understood in terms of the flora and the fauna and the physical pictures. This is the important fauna, so we have to understand this. It is thirsty and going to the glittering place. This may be inferred from the 8th mandala. The composers of the Kāṇva family associated Irina with water holes and the habitat of animals called Gaura. The Kāṇva family I am stressing because the 8th mandala is due to Kāṇva, and there is a centroid for the Kāṇva people, the Kāṇva ashramas, the Kāṇva connection, the Kāṇva shaka, where those people are there. So roughly we can identify that also, and that becomes important. Then the last references are in the 10th mandala, the most controversial sukta, but again the most important, well discussed. Books have been written on this sukta itself. It's called the Aksha Sukta. That is of the dice playing, a gambler's mantra. This is supposed to be the gambler's mantra. And my feeling is, yeah, there is something about gambling in this mantra, but it is not right to call it the gambler's mantra. There is a wrong translation or understanding is my view. The first mantra, Pravepa ma Brihato Madayanti Irine Varvartamana. The last one, Divya Angara Irine Nyuptaha Shita Santo Hridayam Nirdahanti. Now, Griffith translation I will read first. Sprung from tall trees, these rollers transport me as they turn upon the table. He takes this Irina's table and cast on the board. Again, Irina, he takes it as on the board, like lumps of magic charcoal. Though cold themselves, they burn the heart of ashes, heart to ashes. They means who? The Aksha, are the dice. Like dice, you know, is the Mahābhārata dice, the dice play, gambling. So the whole, this mantra, these two at least, have been connected with dice play. But if you see the literal meaning, the double meaning may be implied, I don't deny that. The first verse refers actually to an object that sprung from a tall tree at a height. These are the nuts of the Vibhitaka trees. The Vibhitaka is mentioned here. And these fall on the Irina, fall down on the Irina. They roll. Maybe out of this the dice were made. So the next verse, does it say anything about dice play? It doesn't say. The game was played by throwing the dice on flat ground. Hence here dice board could be a secondary meaning for the word Irina. Now you can see Sayana's Bhāshya here. He says, okay, ahasta saha hastarahita pyakshaha hastavantam dhyutakaram kitavam sahante parajaya karanena abhibhavanti. Divyaha means, you see, divi means the original word. This is the meaning. Divyaha divi bhava apakritaha angaraha. Angaraha is here. Angara sadrisha he takes it. Akshaha. The word aksha is not there anywhere, but he assumes it. For some reason, I will tell you. Irine. He takes a Indina rahite aspara, he takes it. Aspara, you will see the meaning in a minute. Nyuptaha. Nyuptaha would mean literally, which is plown. Like you plow seeds into the field, like that. It goes deep into it. Shitaha, there, cold. Shita Sparshaha. Santaha. There is no touching here, but he says Shita Sparshaha. Hridayam Kitavanam Antah Karanam. Kitava is the dice player or the gambler. Their Antah Karana, his heart, Nirdahanti. It burns. Why? Parajaya Janita Santapena Basmi Kurvanti. He also wants to say Basmi Kurvanti. There's so much of loaded meaning here. And my personal feeling is, traditionally this is called Aksha Sukta, and there is a Aitihya here. This Sukta is done by Kavasha Ailusha. The Rishi is Kavasha Ailusha. When the Anukramani gives, or his son, Maujavan Aksha. That is how it is there. I don't know what meaning to be made out of it. Traditionally, it has come like that. Kavasha Ailusha, there is a very interesting story. He was not originally a Brahmin. That means a orthodox Brahmin. He goes to a sacrifice on the banks of River Sarasvati, and the rishis there, or the orthodox people, criticize him and say, you don't belong to us, you go away. Because he says, I know how to do a particular sacrifice. He wants to teach them, but he says, no, you are not born in the right thing. Something he says, it comes up in the Vedic Brāhmaṇa also. The anecdote itself is remembered still. That is one great thing. Even though such things might have been there, a social distancing, what we know, might have been done there, they mention it, but then they accept him. The reason for accepting Kavasha Ailusha is that Saraswati river follows him. He is very dejected and he goes away from the place where the sacrifice was happening, sits under a tree and prays. He does a Rgveda mantra, and then Saraswati river herself comes near him. So there are loaded information in this, to which I can't go. And this Kavasha Ailusha, who was he? If he is not belonging to one of the families, who was he? Is another question. I will not go into any of that. But the literal meaning you can easily understand. Divya Angari Irine Niptaha Shita Santo Hridayam Nirdahanti. The coal, the burning coal. Divya is Divi Babaha. Angaraha is the coal. Irine Niptaha. Irina, it may be water, because even if previously Sayana has said it can be taken as a watery pool or whatever, or a ushara. They get into that and then they become cold, but even then they burn the heart. Hridayam Nirdahanti. Now, the words Hridayam has to be understood properly. Of course, Sayanacharya has brought out that meaning, because Hridayam Antahkaranam he says, but this cannot be brought out in English translation. Because the English heart, as you know, is on the left side, whereas the original Vedic heart is on the right side. So there are differences. So these nuances, this hidden information, which is internal to the culture. I do hope you people are following what I am telling. When we say my heart, I don't, in Kannada or in Tamil or in Sanskrit, Hridayam is Hridayam Tadvijaniya Vishwasya Yatanam Mahat. That is the definition which comes in the Vedic text. That's in the central part. That is not the biological heart, it is the psychological heart. That is generally what is meant. So, the hymn in which the above two verses is I'm coming to this. The literal meaning is heavenly charcoals having flowed into Irina, they burn the heart. Now we will see a little bit about the meanings. Monier Williams gives Aspar. It's a dice sport. It depends on Sayana. Simply he takes Sayana's thing it has given. But what is spar? Spar is used in many other places. It means violent, strong. Spara is used in Katha Sarit Sagara in the sense of a shock or beating or a slap. So the word aspara doesn't come there, but anyway we have to keep this in mind. And actually it is about fiery objects, what was mentioned in the first mandala, the maruts, flying above the Irina. And that is a region. And in the dictionary meaning of Irina is this. It is associated with the root R. It's a water course. It comes in the Unadi Sutra. It may mean an excavation in the ground or hollow. May mean a dice board, again, is from Monier Williams, because Sayanacharya has said that. Otherwise, it's a desert, barren soil. This is based on Griffith's translation. Later on, of course, it is used in the sense of salt soil, because you know, Raṇ-of Kachh is famous even now for salt. Salt is manufactured and exported there. I mean, salt is produced and exported there. We have to bear these things in mind. And there is a strong argument by Western Indologists that Irina is not basically a Sanskrit word, that is an Indo-Aryan, Indo-European word, but it is from Dravidian or some other thing. Keep that also in mind, but we will not argue or discuss that. What does our own culture say? Niruktam. Niruktam is, whoever wants to understand the Vedic text have to pass through Nirukta. And after all our, whatever our practices, whether orthodox, unorthodox, or popular, they have come through this filter of the four Vedas, the Brahmanas, the Aranyakas, the Upanishads, then of course through Nirukta, then the Puranas, then the Dharma Shastras, then you know our culture, ritual, music, dance, drama, and all these things have come. And of course the Vedangas. So we can't forget about the gates through which we are today. So the gates also we have to consider and understand. So Irinam, Nirinam, Rinātara Parnam, Rinād Aparnam Bhavati. Aparata Asmad Oshadaya Itiva. Translation is by Lakshman Saru, who edited Nirukta and translated. Board, he takes it as Irinam. Board is not the right word, but he gives it in bracket. Is free from debt. It is derived from the root Rn, to go. Not here, but he takes it as Rn. That is, it is distant. Or else, herbs have been removed from it. Two meanings are possible, he says. It is very distant because the water has flown away. Or herbs have gone out of it or been removed from it. Something like a desert place. That which was previously Rinam, that is moving, flowing, became Nirina. Non-flowing without herbs. Now, after the Rigvedic Samhita, one may ask, what about the other Samhita, the Yajurveda? Do they also consider Irina? And in fact, Irina is very, very important for Taittiriya Samhita. Because first itself, you know about Rgveda, it is, there are several recensions. I am considering only the Taittiriya Samhita. I am not considering the Shukla Yajurveda. In the Krishna Yajurveda itself, you have the Taittiriya, Maitrayaniya, and several other branches, Kataka. I'm considering only the Taittiriya. But whatever legend I am telling here comes up in almost all the texts. This is connected to the legend of Vishwarupa Tvashtra, who had 3 heads. So Vishwarupa is the name, and he is the son of Tvashtra. So that is why he is called Tvashtra, born out of Tvashtra. The meaning of Tvashtra, if you see in Sanskrit, is to break. And most probably, Dvi, the word Dvi is derived from Tva. And even the English TW word, two, might have come from Tvashta, that is to cleave or to break, to make it into two. And he had 3 heads, not 2, but 3 heads, which were cut off by Indra. 1/3 of the guilt of Indra was taken by the earth. That earth is called Irina. Now, if somebody has any question, you can ask, because it is nearing 9:22. I will go for some another 5 or 6 minutes and then stop. Okay? Hello? Yeah, you heard. Okay,
yes, sir.
fine.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So in the Taittiriya Samhita, Dvitiya Kande Panchama Prapatakaha. Many of you know this by heart, and you'll be able to recited Vishwarupa Vaitvashtraha Purohito Devanam Asid. So Vishwarupa, son of Tvashtra, was the Purohita of Devas. You understand this. Who are Devas? Let us not worry about it. Some good people who are in the sky, who are in the heavens. And he is also Asurana. He is the nephew of the Asuras, of the Guru of the Asuras. You know that, of Shukracharya. Thus, he had three Shirshani. He had three heads. I am intentionally showing a figure here. Keep this in mind. You know that figure very well. So, he had three heads. And with one head, he would do Somapana. With one head, Surapana. The other one with the Anna. That is the regular food he was taking. And he would tell everything directly to Pratyaksha, directly. And okay, and he was telling something in secret to the Asuras. Now this says people who say directly, I am going to tell you the truth, they may or they may not. But if somebody is going secretly telling, mostly they will be telling the truth. That is the meaning of this. And Indra got angry, he actually got afraid, and the story is further there, I will not go into that. He used his Vajra, he goes to Prajapati and all of that, and he used the Vajra, and he cuts the head of this three-headed Vishwarupa. Vishwarupa, the name itself indicates, he could be seen in all the directions. The figure could be seen in all the directions, but he had three heads. That means something which was rotating, something like that. If you imagine it as a celestial figure, because Indra is celestial. It's preferable to have a figure or a picture of that kind so that we can understand these things. And further, the legend says the three heads which are cut, one became Kalavinka, one became Kapinjala, the other one became a partridge, birds and all that. But then for 1 year, because of killing a Brahmana, he was carrying the guilt of the Brahmahatya, Indra, that he could not tolerate, but everybody was criticizing him that he killed a Brahmana. So he requests earth to take his guilt. And to cut this story short, 1/3 of that guilt, because there are three parts, the 1/3 of the guilt of Brahmahatya was taken by earth. That part became the self-created Irina. Swakritam Irino Abhavat. This is the important thing. Tritiyam Brahmahatyaye Pratyagranhat. Tat Swakritam Irinam Abhavat. Tasmad Ahitagnihi. Ahitagni, you know, the orthodox Vedikas, Shraddha Devaha, Swakrita Irine Nav Yasyet. Brahmahatyaye Esha Varnaha. Saha. So the orthodox people should not live in the Iriṇa. They should not stay in the Iriṇa. That means they cannot carry out any of their orthodox sacrifices or whatever in the Iriṇa, and they should go out of that. They had to go out of the Iriṇa. That is the meaning. And this continues in the Taittiriya Samhita in so many ways. There is a Brahmana part in the Taittiriya Samhita in the 3rd Kanda. Swakrita Irine Juhoti Pradare Etadva Asya Nirti Grihitam. Slowly, the Irina gets connected with Nirti. Now, Irina and Pradara, there are two words which come up. Please note it, that I am going to make a comment on that. Irina is different, Pradara is different, because his voice is an alternate. For rituals, there are some prescriptions. If that is not possible, an alternate is given. So there is an alternate also given. If Irina is not available, and what is Irina? It has to be Swakrita Irina. It should be on its own made. It should not be something different. You can't make it. It is already natural. Why? That is Niriti Grihita. Niriti is a Devata from the Rgveda, and Niriti has captured this land, captured this Irina or the Pradara. What is the meaning of that is not clear here, but in the Shatabda Brāhmaṇa it is clear. I will go to that later. The two land types are equivalent as far as the ritual is concerned, but they are not physically identical, Pradara and Irina, because Keith makes a wrong translation. That is why I am telling this. The place is said to have been seized by Niriti. In essence, Taitiri Samhita equates Iriṇa itself with disaster or misfortune. There's a place with misfortune. This continues in the fifth Kanda also, with reference to Abhichara. Abhichara is black magic. Black magic has to be done, whatever. We will not go into that. Slowly a direction comes in, because they have to indicate a direction. Initially, they were not giving any direction. Thick and direction was not there. But when they had to do Agni Chayana or some other kind of sacrifices, where is Niriti becomes a question. So, Niritya Dik, I will read it here. They go in the direction of this quarter. This is the direction of Niriti. Verily, in her own direction, he propitiates Niriti. So, what is the direction of Niriti becomes a question. Where is Iriṇa? He places in the self-made Iriṇa in the Niriti, in that direction. So, it was easily available. The fishers, I'm just translating it, they were easily available for them at some time. But that was no more possible as time passed on. And Swakrita Irine Juhoti in the Taitiri Brāhmaṇa, we will leave it there. So the legend of Vishwarupa carries the footprints of orthodox Vedic people emigrating out of Iriṇa, which for some special reason became uninhabitable. Translation Iriṇa is just a natural fissure in earth. Keith has done like that. It's not complete, not give the complete meaning. Text can be inferred from other hymns where pradhara is prescribed only as an alternate for certain rituals. Shatabhati Brāhmaṇa gives the direction specifically. Tena Dakshina Yanti. There they can see the Swakrita Iriṇa. Or Shwabra Pradharam. He uses a new word called Shwabra. Shwabra is Sayanacharya discussed in great detail. Tabi Retam Dishimin Yeshavai Nairutyameva Taddish. Here it becomes very, very clear. By the time of Shatabhata Brāhmaṇa, the word Nairutya. Today, Nairutya is so easy and so understood by everyone as southwest. That is a cardinal direction, in between direction between south and west. But in those days, in the Vedic period, only the 4 directions were recognized. The in-between directions, the other 4, they had different names. There was nothing like a Nairitya. Even in Mahābhārata, they would say Paschima, Dakshina Paschima. Even in Ramayana, in one place, word Dakshina Paschima is used, not Nairitya. But Nairitya became slowly popular, and nowadays nobody uses Dakshina Paschima. Dakshina Paschima is literally southwest. Now, Nairitya is the place of Niriti. See, Devata Niriti, at least we know one Devata of Rgveda, where she is. She was in Iriṇa and she is in Iriṇa. That Devata is in Iriṇa. So, I will not read this.
Will there be time for questions, sir?
Yeah, this slide I will finish and then stop. Okay?
Okay.
I will just complete because of one reason here.
Sorry, there is some background noise. Is it possible to switch off?
Okay. Shwabra karena pradirnaha pradesho bhavet. It should be of Shwabrakara. Why there is a new word Shwabra coming in? Shwabra is a whirlpool or a vortex. And you know that we are talking of a region where there are large number of circular whirlpools. Even to this day, you can see circular whirlpools. And Shwabramati is Sabarmati River. Sabarmati River even today flows with all the whirlpools. So this Niriti, the Iriṇa, is not far away from the original Shwabramati. Fortunately, Shwabramati or Sabarmati we can see even to this day. So this is where the description of Iriṇa has come down to us. And it is in the Nairitya direction where Niriti is there. Let me stop it here. If there are questions, I will take them.
There's a question here. Can you hear me, sir? Okay.
Or you can send your question by chat. If I can read them, I will answer them.
No. What is this Aspara?
Aspara is a bird with a literal meaning. on which the dice were played is what Sayana's explanation. MDS had asked a question. I could not read it fully.
No, he is saying this instance also appears in Ramayana, Tvashtra.
Possible. I have not gone into that. Will Professor M.D. Srinivasan put his question?
Yeah, he has just said the incident of Indra killing Tvashtra also appears in Ramayana.
Oh.
It appears to me like the Iriṇa word would suggest that the land was ever changing. It appears like the land was ever changing, so the name from re to go might have come from that. So
the Sanskrit text doesn't say that. The text identified particular reason. And we see that the Vedic Iriṇa is something associated with the Raṇ-of Kachh. Raṇ-of Kachh itself may not be the original area. Obviously, land forms over years.
The same can be applied for the deserts also, like the sand dunes are changing.
No, let me, I have something more to say. Tomorrow and day after tomorrow on those things. We will come to that. What Mahābhārata in what the other text is.
Okay.
Then we can take it.
Yeah.
My question is, in Namakam, we come across the term Nama Iriṇyāya cha Prapatyāya cha. So is that related to this Iriṇa?
Yeah. We will come to that. We're not able to cover all those things. In fact, Iriṇa is important because of Iriṇya. Iriṇya is Shiva, Rudra, we know that. So he belongs to that place. That is what the Vedas say. I'm not telling that. So we have to understand that. That is how we're able to relate so much of our past texts, cultural things, and what people would say the Vedic culture, the later Puranic culture, and how these are integrated. So Nama Iriṇyāya is very important. True. I will cover that after, once I do something on Skanda Purana.
Thank you, sir. Just a slightly tangential question, not directly related to Iriṇa, but in the Rgvedic, the Rgvedic meaning of the Asura is different from the Yajurvedic meaning, right? There has been a transition of the term Sura and Asura from Rgveda to Yajurveda. So can you comment on that?
Yeah, there are so many important things like that to be discussed, but or this kind of online talk, it becomes difficult. I think we should meet sometime, because in the Rgveda, Asura is not a pejorative word. It's not a bad word. Asura is not a bad word at all. It's a good word. And the word Asura is also formed Asu, who is having large number of Asu or Jiva. Varuna is in fact an Asura. Slowly the meaning came up, Asura is opposite of Sura. And in the Rgveda, the word Sura doesn't come at all anywhere. I haven't seen Sura directly as Devata. Devatas are there, Devas are there. So it is a later etymology. Once Asuras were known, opposite of Asura people called Sura. And then once again put it back and then said Suras are good people, so Asuras are bad people. It is not like that. You are right. It's a difficult question, but that is how our cultural understanding has come. If you understand that, large number of Rgvedic mantras become clear.
My question was specifically from the Nirukta point of view. How does the Nirukta treat this variation?
Nirukta is a very late text, right? So even in the Rgveda, towards the 10th mandala, you would see sometimes Asura is in a negative meaning. Not totally, because Indra himself is degraded, Indra, who was the greatest god in the earlier mandalas, the family mandalas, the 10th mandala is not so important. This takes us into too much of Rigvedic discussion. We will do that some other time. We'll concentrate on Iriṇa and the geography associated with it, the Tvashta, the Marut, as a physical picture. This is what I've been discussing here, because I didn't give you the background. Many of my friends who come to the Center for Ancient History and Culture, they wanted me to give a talk on Vedic geography. Because I gave a course on Vedic astronomy. It was a long course, about 25 lectures. They said, why don't you talk about Vedic geography? So Vedic geography, of course, many people have worked. I didn't want to do that. But some aspects which have not been covered by others, I wanted to cover in these 3 talks. That's all my intention here.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is Irina the root of the word run? Yes, it is the root of the word run. True.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rupa.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ravichandra.